Rebel Without a Glove is the fourth episode of the second season of the Looney Tunes show. This is the only story. We don't have any Merry Melodies in this or Wile E. Coyotes. And the narrative, I thought, was pretty good fun. I rather liked it. We have two parts to the story, one focusing on Bugs and one on Daffy. I will say there's not a lot of variety in this. Not a lot happens in terms of the specifics, but I really enjoyed the characters' behaviours and the visuals that went with it. So in general, I'm quite happy. I won't give any spoiler details. I'll just talk very briefly about what happens. And Bugs Bunny has lost his gloves, which is a pretty funny sight, I have to say. Seeing Bugs without his gloves is pretty great. And unfortunately, the shop doesn't sell them anymore, so he buys biker gloves instead. And he takes on this stereotypical biker personality, and it's quite good fun to see Bugs behaving like that. I don't always admire his behaviour. For example, he goes into Speedy's restaurant and is not very pleasant. I won't go into any more detail than that. As I said, I don't want to spoil it, but I found it to be a little bit different and rather good fun, and I quite liked that. And Daffy finds out the meaning of Daffy, and he suddenly decides that he needs to change his name. So he changes it to Professor, and Porky, being adorable, Porky is always trying to make people happy. He calls Daffy Professor, and he happens to do this as he's going into his class. He's taking a class at school, and the professor, I won't say why, but it's a very funny reason, but the actual professor hears Porky calling Daffy Professor and insists that Daffy takes the class instead of him. The reason is very funny, and Porky is obviously not happy with this, but this is what happens. Daffy ends up taking the class as the professor, and I won't say what happens with this or how it develops, but I thought it was quite a fun part of the story and really entertaining, and honestly, I had a lot of fun with this. I thought Daffy and Bugs were both brilliant. We also have some other characters, of course. We have Lola, Bunny, and a couple of others, and it's really great. As a narrative, I think it might be one of my favourites so far from the Looney Tunes show. Even though there's not a lot of variety in it, I just thought it worked really, really well, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And visually, it's really delightful seeing Bugs in his biker gear and Daffy in his stereotypical professor outfit. I rather enjoyed it. It's something a little bit different, and it works really well. And even though there's not a lot of variety in what's happening, I still thought it was pretty great, and definitely one that's worth checking out.